The story begins in the quiet unease of an ordinary world, where shadows linger just a little too long and the air hums with something unseen. A group of strangers, each carrying the weight of unspoken sins, receive an invitation they cannot ignore. It arrives in ways that defy explanation. A letter left on a pillow in a locked room, a whisper in a dream, a reflection in a mirror that wasn't there before. The message is always the same, an address, a time, and a single phrase etched in ink that seems to bleed. You are needed. Curiosity, desperation, or some deeper pull draws them to the meeting place. An old mansion swallowed by ivy, a forgotten asylum at the edge of town, or perhaps a train station where the tracks vanish into fog. None of them truly know why they've come, only that something compels them. When the last arrives, the doors seal shut, the windows darken, the air grows thick with the scent of damp earth and something older, something hungry. Then, the Wraith makes itself known. It does not step from the shadows so much as it unfolds from them. A figure wrapped in tattered darkness, its face a shifting void, or perhaps a mask of frozen agony. Its voice is the scrape of bone on stone, the sigh of a grave settling. It welcomes them, not as guests, but as contestants. No one remembers agreeing to this. No one remembers much of anything after the first moment the Wraith speaks. But the rules settle into their minds like shards of ice. You have been chosen because you owe a debt. Play the game, survive the trials, win, and you may leave with your sins forgiven. Lose, and you will become part of the house forever. The first flicker of true fear ignites. The doors won't open. Phones are dead. The only way out is forward, into the Wraith's game. And then the lights go out. The air is heavy, thick with the scent of damp wood and something metallic, like old blood long since dried into the floorboards. The strangers stand frozen, their breath shallow, as the Wraith circles them with the slow, deliberate grace of a predator savoring the moment before the kill. Its presence is a physical weight, pressing down on their chests, making it hard to think, harder still to speak. Then it stops, a sound like rusted hinges groaning open, its voice. You are here because you are owed, and debts must be paid. No one moves. No one dares. The Wraith raises a skeletal hand, and the walls around them shift. The room is no longer a room but something else, a vast, yawning space where the darkness pulses like a living thing. Shadows twist into shapes too fleeting to name, and for a heartbeat, each of them sees something personal in the gloom, a face they've tried to forget, a moment they've buried deep. This is my domain, the Wraith continues, and here you will play. It speaks the rules slowly, each word sinking into their minds like a brand. The trials. They will face challenges, each tailored to the sins they carry. Some will test their minds, others their bodies, all their souls. The prize, survive, and they will be granted what they most desire: wealth, absolution, a second chance with the dead. The price, fail, and they forfeit more than their lives. Their essence will remain, a new thread in the Wraith's ever-growing tapestry of suffering. The twist. Only one may leave. The rest? The game keeps them. A choked protest rises from one of the group, a man with hollow eyes and shaking hands. This isn't possible! You can't! The Wraith does not react. It does not need to. Because the moment the man steps back, the floor beneath him opens, swallowing him whole. His scream is cut short. The silence that follows is worse. The rules are absolute, the Wraith murmurs, as though commenting on the weather. You may begin when ready. Then it is gone. But the game has already started. The silence after the Wraith's disappearance is suffocating. The remaining players stand motionless, their eyes darting between each other and the void where the floor had swallowed a man whole. The air smells faintly of burning paper and wet earth, an unsettling combination that clings to the back of their throats. Then the walls begin to bleed. Not blood, exactly. Something thicker, darker, like ink mixed with tar. It seeps from the cracks in the wood, pooling at their feet before rising in thin, snaking tendrils. No one moves, not out of bravery, but because fear has rooted them in place. The liquid doesn't touch them. Instead, it weaves itself into shapes, figures, memories, people they recognize. A woman gasps as the shadow of a child forms in front of her, its small hand reaching out. A man staggers back when the silhouette of a woman he once betrayed steps forward, her hollow eyes accusing. The room is no longer a room. It's a gallery of regrets, each horror tailored to its beholder. A voice, not the Wraith's, but something closer to their own thoughts, whispered from just behind their ears, says, "Confront it, or be consumed by it." One of them, a man with a surgeon's steady hands, breaks first. He lunges at the specter of a patient he failed, shouting denials, swinging his fists. The moment he makes contact, the shadow wraps around him like a second skin. His screams are muffled, then silenced as the darkness pulls him under. The floor swallows him, just as it did the first. The others understand now. This isn't a trial of strength. It's a trial of acceptance. A young woman, her face streaked with tears, drops to her knees before the ghost of a brother she abandoned. "I'm sorry," she chokes out. The shadow pauses. Then, slowly, it dissolves into smoke. One by one, they face their pasts, some with defiance, some with broken whispers. Not all survive. Those who refuse to acknowledge their sins are taken, their final expressions frozen in denial. Those who bend, who submit to the weight of what they've done, are left trembling but alive. When it's over, the room is ordinary again. The survivors are fewer, and the Wraith's voice slithers through the air once more. The first lesson is always the hardest. The next will be worse. Then, the lights go out, and the second trial begins. The survivors of the first trial do not speak at first. They stand in the aftermath, their breaths uneven, their bodies still thrumming with the echoes of their own sins made manifest. The room feels colder now, the air tasting of copper and something sour, like fear left to curdle. One of them, a man with hollow cheeks and restless fingers, is the first to break the silence. "That wasn't real," he mutters, more to himself than the others. It couldn't have been. But the bloodless scrape on his forearm, where the shadow of his dead wife had clawed at him, says otherwise. A woman with a sharp face and sharper eyes laughs, a sound like breaking glass. Oh, it was real. And if we don't start thinking, the next one will be worse. The group tenses. The unspoken question hangs between them. What do you know? She doesn't answer. Instead, she steps toward the only door in the room, a heavy, iron-banded thing that hadn't been there before. When she touches the handle, a voice hisses from the walls, not the Wraith's, but something more ancient, more indifferent. One key. One lock. Only one may pass. Beneath her fingers, the wood groans, and a single key slithers out from a crack, landing in her palm with a metallic click. The room stills. The man with the hollow cheeks lunges first. "Give it here," he snarls, but she's faster, twisting away. "Why? So you can leave the rest of us to die?" The accusation lingers. The key glints in her grip, a tiny, terrible thing. Another survivor, a priest, or someone who once might have been, raises his hands. There has to be another way. Maybe if we... Maybe nothing, the woman interrupts. You heard the voice. Only one may pass. This isn't a team sport. The priest hesitates, then drops his hands. His silence is worse than agreement. The group fractures. Some edge toward the woman, calculating. Others back away, scanning the room for another exit, another key, another anything. The moment the knife flashes in the dim light, the room changes. The walls shudder, the floor buckles, and the air fills with the sound of something vast and unseen shifting in the dark. The key, still clutched in the woman's hand, suddenly burns red hot. She screams, dropping it, but the damage is done. The metal sears into the floorboards with a hiss, and the ground beneath them splits open like a wound. They fall, not into darkness, but into something else, a labyrinth of flesh and bone. The walls glisten, pulsing wetly in the half-light. Veins snake across the surfaces, throbbing with a slow, sick rhythm. The air is thick with the stench of rotting meat and antiseptic, a nauseating combination that clings to the back of their throats. The priest gags, doubling over, while the woman with the sharp eyes presses a hand to her mouth, her earlier confidence fraying at the edges. A sound echoes through the corridor, a wet, clicking noise, like joints popping. Then, from the shadows, things begin to emerge. They are humanoid, but wrong. Limbs too long, fingers too many, faces stretched into silent screams. They move in jerks and spasms, their bodies twitching as if strung along by invisible wires. The Wraith's voice slithers through the air, barely louder than a breath. Run, or become part of the maze. The man with the knife doesn't hesitate. He shoves the priest aside and bolts, his footsteps slapping against the fleshy floor. The others scatter, their unity shattered. The chase is a nightmare of close calls and dead ends. The corridors twist back on themselves, the walls breathing around them. One of the survivors, a younger man with wide, panicked eyes, trips, his hand sinking into the spongy floor up to his wrist. He yanks free, but the flesh clings, stretching like taffy before snapping back with a wet thwap. Behind him, the creatures gain ground, their movements growing smoother, more deliberate. The woman with the sharp eyes skids to a halt at a fork in the path. Left or right, neither looks safe. She glances back just in time to see the priest stumble, his leg caught in a sudden ripple of the floor. The things descend on him before he can scream. There's no blood, no struggle, just absorption. His body sinks into the maze, his face frozen in horror as the walls close over him like a mouth. The woman runs. The survivors who escape the labyrinth of flesh don't find freedom. Only another room. Smaller this time, circular, its walls lined with mirrors that don't reflect the living. Instead, the glass holds only shadows, figures frozen in moments of agony or despair. The air here is stale, thick with the scent of old parchment and candle wax burned down to nothing. At the center of the room stands a chair, not a throne, not an altar, just a simple wooden chair, its legs scarred with deep grooves, as though something had clawed at them in desperation. Sitting in it is a figure, motionless, head bowed, its form shrouded in the same tattered darkness as the Wraith. But this one doesn't move, doesn't speak, it weeps. The sound is barely audible, a shuddering broken thing that seems to come from everywhere at once. The survivors hesitate, their breath catching. This isn't the Wraith they know, the specter of judgment, the architect of their torment. This is something else, something wounded. Then the mirrors begin to whisper. Voices overlap, fragments of the same story told in different tongues. I lost the game. I was the last. I thought I could win. The figure in the chair raises its head. The darkness around it peels back, not enough to reveal a face, but enough to show the outline of a human shape beneath. A man, a woman. It's impossible to tell. Its hands, when they lift, are skeletal, but not from decay, from time. You wonder what I am, it says, and the voice is both the Wraith's and not. It's younger, tired. I was like you. I played. I lost. One of the survivors steps forward, the knife still gripped in white-knuckled fingers. Then why make us play? Why keep doing this? The figure doesn't answer at first. Instead, it gestures to the mirrors. The glass shivers, and suddenly, the reflections aren't shadows anymore. They're people. Dozens of them. Hundreds. All staring out with hollow eyes, their mouths moving in silent pleas. Because the game must continue, the figure says. Because it's the only way to remember. To remind them. The survivors realize then what they're looking at. The losers, the forgotten, the ones who came before. And in the largest mirror, directly behind the chair, a face they recognize. Their own. The revelation of the Wraith's true nature lingers like smoke in the air, thick, suffocating, impossible to ignore. The survivors stand frozen, their eyes darting between the weeping figure in the chair and their own hollow reflections in the mirrors. The room feels smaller now, as if the walls are pressing in, forcing them toward a decision they don't yet understand. Then, the Wraith moves. Not the broken thing in the chair, the other one. The one they've feared since the beginning. It steps from the shadows behind them, its presence colder, sharper, its voice a blade against their nerves. The final trial is simple, it murmurs. Choose. The floor trembles. The mirrors shatter, not into shards, but into dust, swirling around them like a storm of forgotten memories. When it clears, the room is gone. They stand now on a narrow bridge suspended over an abyss, its depths alive with whispers. On either side, two doors materialize, one wrought in black iron, the other in pale, splintered wood. The Wraith gestures to each in turn. Behind one, freedom. Behind the other, the game begins anew, for someone else. A beat of silence. Then, the cruelest twist. You do not choose for yourself. You choose for another. The survivors turn to one another, the weight of the command settling over them. The woman with the sharp eyes stares at the man who still clutches the knife. The knife that, hours ago, he'd raised against his own. His hands shake now, not with rage, but with understanding. No, he whispers. The Wraith tilts its head. You would refuse? I won't decide who lives or dies. A pause. Then the Wraith laughs, a sound like bones breaking. You already have. The bridge beneath them cracks. The abyss yawns wider. And the survivors realize too late that the true trial was never about choosing. It was about remembering the faces in the mirrors, the ones they'd sacrificed, the ones they'd failed. The door they pick doesn't matter. The Wraith already knows what they'll do. The abyss swallows the bridge. The doors vanish. The survivors, those who remain, find themselves standing once more in the real world, though it no longer feels real at all. The air is too thin, the colors too dull, as if they've crossed back into a world that no longer fits them. Their hands are empty. Their clothes are clean. There is no blood, no sign of the horrors they endured. But something is wrong. The woman with the sharp eyes reaches for her pocket and freezes. Inside, her fingers close around something cold and metallic. A key. The same one from the game. It shouldn't be here. It can't be here. Across the street, a stranger catches her eye. A man with a hollow stare, his shoulders hunched under an invisible weight. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. She knows, with a certainty that chills her, that he's one of them, a player, a survivor, or perhaps something else now. That night, she dreams of mirrors. In them, her reflection doesn't move when she does. It smiles. It whispers. You're part of the game now. She wakes to the sound of knocking. On her doorstep lies a black envelope, its edges crisp, its surface unmarked. Inside, a single line. It's your turn. And somewhere, in the space between shadows, the Wraith watches. Waiting. Always waiting. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next one. Bye for now.